If someone wants to work as a doctor in the US, what can they do?
The difference between America and England is, yeah, and Uganda. Why are you doing a postdoc? You have no PhD.
How come you have no accent? And still you sound the same. What happened? Chechiganye.
My first winter in America was so bad.
And there's racism in the US. But there's a way American racism sounds a bit too much.
But Africans coming from Africa get more racist treatment from Africans, Americans, than from white Americans.
Hi guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Sissy, and if you're an old subscriber, welcome back. In this video, I'm so excited to be bringing to you Kenneth. Kenneth is a Ugandan medical doctor working in the US. Yes, in the US, not the UK. Kenneth has lived in Uganda, obviously. He came to the UK, he studied, and he had an option to stay, but he chose to go. He went back home, and now he's in the US. So in this video, I want Kenneth to tell us what is life in the US like? What is life in the UK like? And then also he has an option of Uganda. So like we want to know, people out there are looking to go to other places and they want to know, should they go to US? Should they go to UK? Hi Kenneth, welcome to the channel.
Hi, Sissy. I'm so glad to be here. Sorry, I have no accent.
That's the first thing I wanted to ask you. Kenneth, how come? How come you have no accent? I'm gonna tell you sound the same way you sounded back in 2010. Kenneth was also my OB from university, went to the same medical school, and still you sound the same. What happened? Chechiganye.
Yeah, it's hard to change.
I think
I think the main reason is I'm very comfortable in my skin. So I don't try to conform to change, for people to accept me because, some of my things speak for themselves. So I don't have to force an accent or to
yes,
force life. So
yes.
like mujja kumpulira oba mwagala oba nedda.
I love that. Your reputation
Yeah.
fits you. And also, I think it's harder to force an accent because
Yeah.
every word you have to calculate it.
Yeah.
Your
It,
mind.
it's too much. It's hard. You speak and like you're not British, it's not American. It's what's that? Like this is my Ugandan accent. And
I love
luckily
it.
my little brother encourages me, say, no, don't worry, that's not how we speak. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll speak a Ugandan way.
Yes, yes, I love it. I love also to have a Ugandan accent. Sometimes you find that you end up changing some things because you're tired of repeating yourself. But every time you repeat. That's how you end up changing. But some people change their accent even quicker. But it's
Yeah.
intentional. It doesn't just happen.
So yeah, my name is Kenneth Sebambulide. I studied with Sisi at Mackay University. So we did medicine, finished, worked a few years, then did masters. We actually went to the same university in London, London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine for our masters. This was a year ahead of me, so she finished, and I joined the year she graduated. I think I attended your graduation. We took some pictures.
You attended Gabby's, who's my eldest, birthday party.
And your grad, you came to London School and I was there.
Yes, actually,
Yeah,
yes.
so Sissy graduated before me. After my graduation, uh,
What did you do at university at LSHTM?
oh, I studied a Master's of Science in Immunology of Infectious Diseases. I love basic sciences. My love for basic sciences really stems from the kind of practice that is in Uganda. I think I had so much experience that whatever was being practiced, I felt like I can't be part of this kind of practice. Let me go and generate knowledge in the basic science field. So I'll contribute to medicine on that front. The kind of practice that happens in our
Mm,
hospitals, I think, no, this is not for me. I can't be
mm,
contributing to this mediocre kind of practice.
mm,
Um, so I decided to join that knowledge generating field that is
mm.
basic science, and that has taken me places.
Tell us more.
So from
Ah,
London, I went back
Alan.
home.
Uh-huh.
Went back home. In Uganda, I work for the Infectious Diseases Institute, IDI, Mackay University. So it's a research institute. And whilst there, COVID happened. So I went back in 2020, Feb.
For the lockdowns.
Just actually a week before the lockdown, that's when I returned. And then COVID happened. Then stayed. I got an opportunity to come to the National Institutes of Health. So the National Institutes of Health is the largest research institute in the world. It funds research in America and also outside America, and funds most of the studies at the Infectious Disease Institute. So there was this opportunity to be an African postdoctoral training initiative fellow. So the difference between America and England is, and Uganda, you can do a postdoc if you're a medical doctor without a PhD. So I have no PhD and I'm doing a postdoctoral, I'm a postdoctoral fellowship at the National Institutes of Health. So I get to explain myself all the time to the British and Ugandans. Why are you doing a postdoc? You have no PhD. Yeah, so America is different. If you have a medical degree,
that's considered
it's considered a terminal degree. It's actually on the same rank as a PhD, so you can do a postdoc. So having had a medical degree, I could apply and I get a post. So we attend postdocs coming from Africa. I'm the only one from Uganda. We applied, went through interviews, and they chose from different countries. So we attend from different African countries. One from Uganda, myself, from Kenya, from Tanzania, from South Africa, from Zimbabwe, from Nigeria, from the Gambia and Cameroon. So this is the second time this kind of thing is happening, because people noticed that at the National Institutes of Health, there were less Africans compared to other populations. So postdocs at the National Institutes of Health were mostly, Americans or people from Europe. People come from England to come and do postdocs at NIH, or people from Asia, so Chinese, people from India and stuff, and there were less from Africa. So they started a program for Africans, and I'm in the second cohort.
And is it happening again? Were you the last ones?
No, it's happening again. Yeah. So they put up a call. People applied, people reached out to me to guide them on applications and stuff. So I guided some, and I'm happy that some a Ugandan was interviewed recently. So hopefully will be selected.
That's amazing.
I was the first. My cohort was the second, but I was the first Ugandan to come. In the first cohort, there was no Ugandan.
Thank you for making history for Ugandans all over the world.
No, for myself.
And us, we like to tie on, Ugandans, we like to tie on good things. Someone struggles and they take themselves to Olympics and they struggle. No one even buys for them shoes. They win, and then Ugandans comes. Hey, Ugandan.
Yeah. So anyway, so I'm here. The fellowship is 4 years, but we do 2 years at the National Institutes of Health. So at this epitome of knowledge, of research, oh my goodness, I wish everyone could come to the National Institutes of Health. Yeah, so we do 2 years at the National Institutes of Health and 2 years back in our home institutions. So I'll be going back to the Infectious Disease Institute end of this year to begin my last 2 years of my fellowship.
So that, I think the world is your oyster, honestly. Don't you think? Like, you can literally go anywhere with those qualifications.
Oh yeah, with a post. Oh, I'm being contacted right now by companies, Pfizer, pharmaceutical companies. Like, oh, you're a postdoc at NIH on this program. We saw your LinkedIn profile.
I saw your LinkedIn too. People check out Kenneth's LinkedIn and be inspired.
We saw your LinkedIn profile. We are sure people are contacting you to join their teams. We are here to tell you there's this opportunity for you. Yeah, so people contact you because NIH is really, it's a very nice place. It's so rich. You can do all kinds of science. It's America's largest research institute. It has the largest research hospital, a hospital dedicated just for patients on research protocols. And the research stems from any body part, You can be a neurosurgeon and still do research here. There are all kinds of specialists. I'm in the section that is doing clinical immunology and microbiology. So, because my work is on fungal meningitis, Yeah, so I'm doing that kind of work here. So actually, this opportunity was sent to me by my boss,
Mm,
who is also my mentor. So I
mm,
have two bosses. They are both my mentors. They are very, very helpful. They are
mm,
resourceful. They, whenever they see opportunities, they'll be like, "Oh, this suits you." And then, because my first response was, "Oh, they want a PhD."
mm,
And I have none. It's like, no, you can get it. This is America.
mm.
Yeah. So I applied. I was like, oh, wow, I'll put in my application. Yeah. Then I put in my application. Yeah. And then I got selected, and they are still supportive of my career progression. So
You're watching this and you look at a job application and you don't have everything or everything you think, that shouldn't stop you. I think that's really encouraging
very
because
encouraging. Yeah. You have to put in and let you let whoever is selecting to decide.
so now, Kenneth, you've told us your whole history and like honestly, it sounds like you can work anywhere in the world. Eh? So with your experience of the countries that you've been in, I understand you. I know you came to the UK to do your master's, so you were here for a year. You've been in the US for nearly 2 years. You grew up in Uganda. Are there any other countries that you've been to?
Yeah, I've been to Botswana, I've been to the Gambia, I've been to Benin, I've been to Rwanda, I've been to Kenya,
I
I've
should
been
ask, where have
to
you not been? You've been everywhere. Go on, go on.
no, not everywhere. Yeah, those come off on top of my list.
Mm,
And of course the two that you've listed.
mm.
Um,
So
but yeah,
is there anywhere that you feel that your heart would be pulling you towards in all your options? Where
Uganda. I
the,
love Uganda. Yeah, so I think I can go to any of those. I'm really, really open to wherever the tide will wherever it
the
will
river
take.
that time will take you? Okay.
Yeah, but home is home. Uganda would be ideal if with ideal me if I'm getting a nice, we all want money.
You want money, but then the other thing that you've mentioned, Kenneth, I think it's not all about money. So, for instance, the working conditions, however much they pay you, the money they would pay you in the US. But then without the working conditions, like when I hear the research institution you're talking about, a whole hospital for just research, that alone, wouldn't that kind of make you want to stay in the US?
On a campus, actually, let me first brag a bit. On a campus that has over 71 buildings
Mm.
meant for research with 27 institutes, aging, alcohol abuse and infectious disease, several things. Yeah, so yeah, you would want to stay in such a setting because it is, I think it's a privilege to work in a place that has everything that is functional, like systems are functional. People are trying to do their job and they do their job well. Then you get back home, things are, as you know them, as they
Before,
are.
before, as I know
Um,
them as they are. Before we get there, first tell us,
mm,
because I feel like we have gotten to a natural point of now pros of the US. Number
mm,
one pro is systems that work.
mm.
What other good things do you find in US?
Oh, the systems work. You can do literally whatever you want, science-wise.
Mm,
If you want to do a given experiment, you can do it because the resources are available.
mm,
You're not you're not
good.
you're not constrained when it comes to resources. And then it is rich in human resource. So if you need to collaborate, if you have answers, you have questions, you're not restricted in the kind of knowledge that you can get. You can easily ask someone for help. You're not the epitome of knowledge. There's
Mm,
someone who knows something better than you. However much you're contributing or you're in a given field, you want to collaborate with others so you can easily, get help with aspects of your work that you want. Like if you need a statistical point of view, you're not going to die alone in that statistics. There's a big unit dedicated to that kind of work. If you need, say, I am interested in single cell analysis. Sorry, Sissy, this is not mental health,
no, no, no,
but yeah,
that's fine.
I'm interested in single cell analysis, but there's a bigger unit that is dedicated just to that. If you want to do imaging, there's a big unit dedicated to imaging. It's not like back home where you're expected to have all that kind of knowledge, like to have all those resources in your head to be able to tease out, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing now. So there's that collaborative thing when it comes to work.
You're part of a bigger team. It's not just you yourself.
Yeah, it's not just me who is supposed to be doing this, doing that. Yeah, you get help from different people and they are very willing to help you. More pros, we are in science, so we would want to have your, literature, like articles, availability of full text articles. In Uganda, sometimes I get challenged. You want to read a given article, but you have no access to it. Some of them are very costly, especially those that are published in Nature. Very costly articles, minimal access to full text. Even when you have Hinari is supposed to help us in resource limited settings to get access to some of these full text. Some of them are not on Hinari. I have access to courses like trainings in writing, grants, to interface with people who are going to review these kinds of grants. Like I said, NIH is a big research funding institute. So there are always trainings, and some of these trainings have a firewall. You can only access them when you're within the confines of the institute. Yeah. Or I may get trained back home, but I will not have the privilege of interfacing with people who may, review my applications. Like now I do. I can send them an email, ask them, anyone can send them an email, but when you're within the confines of an institute, it's
when your
easier.
email
Like,
ends
oh,
way.
hey, they see that email ending with the same, same organization, like, oh yeah, this is our colleague, we need to help. Access to different equipment that most is not back home because they're very expensive. We may not be able to afford to buy them first, second, to maintain them, or even to buy the reagents. So really things that are pushing the field of science in front. Yeah. And then the companies also are very easy. They can easily come into the institute because they know they'll get markets. There are lots of investigators, so they can easily come in to talk about their latest equipment, their new stuff.
So from what you've described, though, Kenneth, about how like there are all these machines, there are all these reagents, do you think that what you're doing now, like the knowledge that you're gaining, is it applicable back home?
I'm taking back some of this, so they have an opportunity to give some of this equipment back home. So I'm taking back some of this. So that was my worry, to get all this knowledge, get all these skills, then go back to.
That's amazing. I love it.
Oh wow, it's very nice.
So outside of work, what else? How is America like? We just see on TV. How does it look? Are the streets paved with gold? Like, how is it generally?
It's just like you see on the, wherever you see it. It's that beautiful. America is a very, very nice country. I think people have really, really worked hard to put it wherever it is. And I think people who are not Americans should borrow, a leave to work for their countries, to build them so people can look at them and appreciate. People have really, really worked hard. Yeah, so America is beautiful. The buildings are nice. The roads are nice. The infrastructure is really nice. But when it comes to the social life, it gets lonely because we are too much into work. I think the way the country was designed was to have a group of people who are going to push the country forward. So it's mostly work.
Everyone is working. Is that an American thing, or is that because of maybe the way your type of work that you're doing?
I don't know. Maybe it's my kind of work, but it seems to be like it's an economy that runs on people working, so you can pay your bills. You have a mortgage to pay. If you own a house, you have a mortgage. You have a car that you got on those kinds of deals of you're paying every month. You have a phone that you're paying every month. So you literally have to work to pay all that kind of stuff, because that's how the economy is here. It's not like in Uganda where you have to have all the cash to own a car, all the cash to buy a house and construct it. No, it runs different here. So you can get anything and you pay for it on a monthly basis.
There's a lot of credit.
Yes, so that means you have to work to pay all those bills.
So now, how do you enjoy yourself? Like, I guess on your time off, like, is it like, what do you do?
I read books. Unfortunately, I'm not in my house. I would have shown you books. I read lots of books. So besides being work, the rest of stuff is really individualistic. It's
Just
not as communal.
sounds
Uh,
like UK to me. What do you think?
it's quite similar, but in London, I was in school. So if you're in school, you have colleagues, you have friends, you meet to discuss, you meet to talk, you decide to go out. But now here I am as at work, COVID time, social distancing, minimal in-person meetings. So
Mm,
everything has been on Zoom until last week that we've resumed in-person meetings.
wow.
Um, so it was really individualistic. Yeah. So, you go to nice restaurants, have a nice meal, talk with friends, chill. But the friends could be busy working because we have different schedules. Some people may work during the day, others are working at night or evenings. So we may not have this. Uganda has that overlapping time where people go to work 8 to 5 or around that. In these settings, people work different times. Um, yeah, so it's hard. You may have friends, but you may have
With
uh, to minimal time to interact because your schedules don't overlap, something like that. So yeah, so it can get lonely.
Oh, it can get lonely. Actually, I'm working on another video on tackling about homesickness and loneliness in
Oh, it can get so
diaspora
lonely.
because
It
I
can
think
get so lonely, especially winter time, because winter time it's so cold. You don't want to stay out. It's dark.
it's so depressing when you're like,
Uh, yeah, I can get lonely. So my first winter in America was so bad. I got so lonely.
mm,
And yeah, so I kept calling home. Then the time difference is 8 hours. Uganda is 8 hours in front of America. So sometimes in the evening, people are asleep in Uganda. And that's when you would want to talk.
yes. Actually, that's a big difference between Uganda and UK because you're going to be lonely in both countries. You're going to miss your people in both countries, but UK
Yeah.
is only 2 or 3 hour difference
Yes.
depending on the
So in
time.
UK, I was able, some of my friends could keep awake till midnight, and
Mm,
that would be around 10 p.m. London time. So we could talk. But
mm,
now this is 8 hours.
mm,
At
mm,
10 p.m., it is 6 a.m. in the morning.
mm.
At 3 p.m. here, when you're still at work, is what time? 11 p.m. Ugandan time. So it's late. So that 8 hour difference is very significant. So you have that time when you miss your friends.
Yeah.
Because as because we come to these countries as adults, it's hard to make friends in a new setting.
Becoming friends, yeah.
Like,
Okay, Nese, I have a question about racism. So I know there's racism in the UK and there's racism in the US, but there's a American racism. Sounds a bit too much. What has your experience been? In UK, did you experience any racism? You
UK,
must.
I was at London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. It's a very diverse community, very diverse. So most of my colleagues would say it's diverse in the student population, but not as diverse in the lecturer population, so the teacher population. So people will be like, oh, that is institutional racism. We actually had a bill.
Which it is. Yes, by the way, yes.
People had a bill and they wanted everyone to sign. Why shouldn't you increase lecturers? You're teaching so many people from Africa, but they are less on your
Like,
teaching staff.
like when we finished the course, there would be people recruiting to start going and doing research in Uganda, in Africa, and it was always white people and not any of us, even the Africans. So yeah, actually, yeah, definitely there's racism in UK and institutional racism. But as a student in LSHTM, I also didn't feel it because it's like the international students were more than the local people, yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't feel it socially. I was surrounded wherever my hall of residence, my house, my
Mm,
apartment, my flat, whatever you call it now.
the flat.
We used to call it the African Union because it had so many black people. Clarendon House, we really, really loved it. So I didn't feel much of it, except I had stories of people on the train, on the London Tube. Um, one student I think was sick, and he couldn't get help from any of the other white people, except a black student who eventually found him almost collapsing. But people were just, giving him space. I felt that was really, really bad. I think I felt it more here. There's a big difference between the expectations of a Black African person and a white person. I think those expectations are so diverse. I think because of history that needs to change. There was that big difference between what those different groupings of people could do or could manage. So that is a bit going down, but it's still there. So I think I felt it more here.
Generally speaking, racism in the UK is more polite. Okay, of course, there's all types of racism. There's overt racism that's like really, really there. But then they also have a lot of like a polite racism that sometimes you might not even notice. Like for me, when I first came, I realized that there are things which I didn't even know they were racist. It was only after some time when people explained to me that, oh, actually, that was racist.
Yeah, but it's that what really annoys me is you get it more from Black people than from white people. Like
really?
me, I feel like I've got more racist maltreatment from people who are Black because they expect me to be on a similar level as them. And if
And you're not.
because I'm a bit different from from the status quo of what they expect of a Black person, then they feel like, and then they listen to my accent, which is not which is different. So yeah, they get to treat me different, which I didn't like. So it's a complex topic. It's very complicated, but Africans coming from Africa get more racist treatment from Africans, Americans, than from white Americans. It's very complicated.
It's a very, very complex thing that you've mentioned. And some people might be watching and even wonder, is that racism if it's another Black person as well? But I was reading somewhere, and actually it is, because racism is a system of like hierarchy of saying that some races are more superior to others. So sometimes it might even be a Black person who is enforcing the powers of racism. It's the same way how in Uganda, you'll go to Uganda and you'll be treated worse by your own fellow Ugandans. And when white people come, remember, like there are these restaurants where they would get reputations, like they give priority to white people, and yet it's in Uganda, and yet it's by Africans. So that can also be racism. Quite interesting. And I've heard it a lot about America more than UK. I think because there was more of that historical like slave trade, and I hear some African Americans think, or they say that they are angry at, I guess, us or Africans from Africa because of our the ones who sold them and things like that. So really, it's a complex topic that's, I think, beyond the scope of this video. But we'll just leave it there. So if you're out there considering going to the two countries, consider these are some of the things that you might come up with.
Yeah, the African Americans will treat you a bit different.
They might, or they
Because
might.
they can tell that you're not part of them, you speak different. Yeah, so they may not receive you well.
As you would expect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what about any other cons of living in the US?
Cons. The
Any
pay
other
here is quite good.
okay, pros? The only pro. The pay is quite good compared to the
Yeah,
mm,
compared to Uganda,
mm.
and I think compared to the UK.
Yes, yes.
So that when it comes to pay, really, this is much, much better. I'm not complaining.
And also, I would want to add, like when you look at just the doctor salary pay scales of the US and the UK, even when you factor in for the cost of living, the US is better. At the time of filming this video, junior doctors in UK are planning to go on strike, which is unheard of, like in America.
No,
So,
but what you hear of in America is people advocating for less working hours. Like I said, you have to be working. You have to work for whatever you get. So most people here will be, you know, saying they are working too hard. The hours are so long, but still the hours are not comparable to the hours that people put in Uganda.
are you sure? So, do you think in Uganda they work even more hours or equal amount of hours as US?
I think they work equal hours as here, but
But not
with less, yeah, less. Less
Less
pay,
of,
and those that need more, you still have to work more. Like I know people would work in 5 hospitals
yes,
because they need to,
make ends meet.
yeah, but so when you calculate those hours, that is so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I had also, like on average, you can have like 80-hour weeks in the US, and yet in the UK it's illegal. You can't be working someone more than, like, as a junior doctor, the average hours a week maximum is 48, but on average it's 40. That's full time. So we are not compensated as well, but at least there's more of a chance of work-life balance. You have more time for your family and your other interests. Yeah, those are, I guess, things to consider if you're out there wanting to choose between UK and US.
It's a big country, so there are several states. The states differ in their, how they do their things.
Mm.
So it's not like United Kingdom that is smaller as compared to this. So you get to choose different places that you'd want to stay. Like if you are a happening person, you can go to California. And then if you're a bit reserved, then maybe you can go to the East Coast, say Maryland, where I am, a bit quiet. Yeah, not as happening
Mm.
as California. So, and wherever you go, all the services are equally good. The US can accommodate all kinds of lifestyles.
Any pros that
Mm.
you can think of the UK over the US?
Oh my goodness. If you want, who wouldn't want to stay in London?
Me, I don't want to stay in London. Once was
Wow.
for me.
London is special. London is very special. Oh, the public transport.
Mm.
Oh my goodness. Public transport in London is very good, very different to public transport in a state like Maryland, where I am.
Mm.
One of my frustrations in my early months here was the public transport. The trains take long. The buses are not as, they don't, they're not as routine as the buses in London. So that really frustrates me.
London,
And it is more diverse. It is more diverse. It is, what's the word? Cosmopolitan.
cosmopolitan, I think.
Cool.
Yeah, because London, I remember when I lived in London, you could randomly hear people speaking Uganda, even Runyankole, even if out of the student societies. So it's definitely more diverse. If someone wants to work as a doctor in the US, what can they do?
Oh, okay. So my advice would be, I mean, if I look back, I really wanted to work out of Uganda. So for any medical students, I think the best thing to do is if you really want to work in America as a doctor, when you finish medical school, register, to start on doing your USMLE journey. Do those exams. They are best done when you're fresh, I feel. When you're fresh, but of course they're expensive. So some people choose to work a bit to make the money so they can pay for the exams. But yeah, you have to do USMLEs. So USMLE 1, 2, and some clinical exams. Then after that, you have to apply to do residency in one of the hospitals in America, in a field that you decide, maybe internal medicine, pediatrics, and surgery and stuff. So decide on whichever field you want to do, then apply for residency after those exams. And then when you get, you have to apply to a number because it's not easy to match. And there are many residency programs. So apply to as many as you can. Of course, the applications are limited because you have to pay for each of those, but apply for as many as you can. And then, of course, they will interview you, prepare for that interview, do that interview, finish it. And then when you start your residency, do it. And that's it. Then you're in the system. Finish your residency and start to mint money.
You've made it sound very easy. Are there any Ugandan doctors who are really doing it, like working clinically there?
Yeah, so I know people are doing it. I know 5 people from our cohort who have done it.
So if you're in our cohort, please can you text in the WhatsApp group and we shall tell you who these people are so you can contact them, because we haven't asked their permission. So we can't mention them here on YouTube. But yeah, basically it can be done if you're interested.
Yeah, you put in time and money. You could ask for assistance from people who are interested in helping. In future, I might be one of those.
Yeah. Kenneth, for you, are you sure you're never going to do USMLEs? Are you considering it? Like, what are your thoughts on it?
So initially, I thought I would do. So when I reached, of course, Sissy is influencing me to take QSMLEs, and she wanted me to do the UK plebs.
And you
And I
refuse?
disappointed her that I did when I didn't do them, and then I ghosted her for some months. So yeah, when I reached here, she said, "You have to do. You go there for 2 years. Do those exams and practice." I think I've decided I'm not going to. Um, I'm very happy with my decision. I chose a basic science route. I'll make my contributions through research. Yes, I'm not going to do those USMLEs.
I'm very happy for you, Kenneth. And I think if anyone is watching this, you should know that we all don't have the same path in life. Like everyone has what is there for them, you know. And I think if you know, and I think it's a good thing that you have identified what you want to do and not doing things just because it's a done thing or just because that everyone does. Just because people will ask you what, how can you go to America and not stay there? No. I think we all have our contributions, and I think if everyone left our country, then who's going to stay? So even me, ideally, long term, I'd want to go back to Uganda. And especially the main problem with Uganda for me is money. If I have the job that can financially compensate me enough to live the lifestyle I want to live, I would go back, honestly. And Kenneth, you do have that. So really, yeah, me, I think I'm very happy for you. And I hope more of us can have opportunities to go back home and take the skills we have learned in the diaspora and go and take them back home.
We'll be looking forward to you.
Any advice for someone who wants to choose between the UK and the US? What would you advise them?
Any of that is better than Uganda if you want to get skills. If you want to do, I think if you want to do a master's degree, I'd advise that you try to go to the UK. I loved their education system. It's well-respected education. It's not long. I think master's degrees, most of them are 1 year long. Very hectic, but worth it. Yeah, go and try the UK. If you want to move to the US, come straight for their master's programs, because then they'll you have if you do a STEM master's degree, you have a chance to stay for over 5 years to get more skills, to get employed and get more skills, and you'll be paid quite well. Yeah, much more than what you would get in the UK.
Thank you so much for coming, Kenneth. Are you happy for people to contact you if they have any more questions? I'm sure there are going to be a lot of people who want to follow in your footsteps, who might be interested in working in who might be interested in doing either maybe the master's that you did or maybe the job that you did, which is clinical research. Where can they contact you, and is it okay?
Oh yeah, so it's very okay for anyone to contact me. But yeah, so on all my social media platforms, so Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, I'm everywhere.
As
Active on Facebook.
as who? What's your handle or your
My names.
Kenneth?
My
Okay.
Yes, Kenneth Sevambolide on all those platforms. Yeah, so I'll be happy to help. But not urgently, because most people will contact you. They need, oh, I need it tomorrow. No, I think it's better to contact people for help if in advance, maybe minimum 2 weeks, because you don't know what they are doing. They may have other emergencies. So it's more, I think it's advisable to contact people to give them some time.
Yes,
So you don't get angry when they respond after 5 days, because they have had their emergencies as well.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy to help.
Yeah, and be polite, people, because sometimes people come into your DMs and they're just like, I need this and this, not even a hello, how are you? Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, thank you so much again. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you watched this video up to this point, thanks for watching. What are your thoughts? Tell us in the comments below. What's your stage of your career? Where are you considering? Are you thinking of the US? Are you thinking of Canada? Sorry, are you thinking of the US? Are you thinking of the UK? Are you thinking of Uganda? Let us know in the comments below. And if you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe if you want much more videos from me. Thanks guys. Bye.